Welcome to Badminton Unlimited, your weekly access to badminton action and beyond. This week we're in Taipei to catch up with a teen sensation who's making a name for herself, Tai Tzu Ying. Then we head to Indonesia to find out more about the #1 club in the country, Djarum, and why it's synonymous with producing legends. India has PV Sindhu. Thailand has Ratchanok Intanon. And Chinese Taipei has Tai Tzu Ying.
The winner is Tai Tzu Ying, Chinese Taipei.
Tai Tzu Ying, Chinese Taipei.
Tzu Ying is one of the new generation of women's singles shuttlers who are still in their teens but already taking the badminton world by storm. Her deceptive strokes and composed demeanor have unnerved many of her more experienced opponents, such as Tina Bon, Wang Shixian, Sung Ji-hyun and Saina Nehwal. Her tactical ability and style of play were honed from a young age, and her calmness is credited to her father.
My father plays a very important role in the way I look at my games. If I lose a match, he will tell me that it doesn't matter, because you lose some and win some. Losing a match means I have to improve myself. If I win, I cannot be too overjoyed, because I still have to train for other tournaments.
Badminton Unlimited flew to Taipei to meet up with the Kaohsiung native while she was on a short break. Accompanied by her elder sister, Tzu Ying showed us around some of Taipei's famous tourist spots. When she wasn't playing host, we managed to get a one-on-one with the 19-year-old as she talked about her journey.
My parents always took me to the badminton hall when I was young. I spent my time there watching them and their friends play badminton. From then on, I began to take an interest in the sport.
As avid badminton players, Tzu Ying's parents even have their own amateur team. So it was not surprising that their daughter began her badminton journey during her primary school days. At 13, she took part in overseas tournaments like the Vietnam and Indonesia Challenge. Although she did not win any of them, it did help her understand the demands of high-level competitions. 2008 proved to be a difficult year for Tzu Ying as she was forced to take a year off due to a wrist injury she suffered in a gym class. Although it was a long recovery, she worked hard to regain her confidence once more.
After I started playing again, I had to practice and train very hard because it was very competitive among my teammates. I had to try my best and to concentrate on serious training again.
Her fighting spirit paid off. In June 2009, she nabbed a silver medal in the Badminton Asia Youth Under-19 Championships. Coached by her father when she first took the plunge, the right-hander made it to the national team in 2010 when she was just 15 years old, making her the youngest player in the squad. That same year, she made her mark in the international arena. Ranked 122 and having to play in the qualifying draw of the Singapore Open Superseries, the gutsy teenager went all the way to the final. India's #1, Saina Nehwal, eventually stopped her fairy tale run.
I was lucky to advance to the final. The day of the final was also my birthday. I will not forget that day. When my name was announced, and as I entered into the hall, all the fans started singing a birthday song for me.
In 2011, Tzu Ying won her first major title in the US Open Grand Prix Gold. Within 2 years, her world ranking skyrocketed as she threatened to break into the top 10. 2012 was a stellar year for the then 17-year-old. She made it into the round of 16 at the London Olympics, stood on the winner's podium in front of her home crowd at the Chinese Taipei Open Grand Prix Gold, and made history in the Japan Open Superseries.
In this tournament, Eriko Hirose was the favorite to win. But on the day, I played really well and won instead. I became the first Taiwanese women's singles player to win a Super Series title.
There was no looking back for Tzu Ying. At the 2013 Malaysia Open, the teenage star claimed her second Super Series title. By the end of last year, she was among the best in the world. Tzu Ying qualified for the BWF Super Series finals in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
I was number 9. Because of the Super Series rule, China had to drop one of their women's singles, who was in the 8th place. I was given the opportunity, and I treasured that very much. In the round robin, I did not play well. If I wanted to advance, I had to win the last 2 matches, which I did. I told myself not to worry so much. I was able to beat Wang Shixian in the semi-finals. In the final, I was against Li Xuerui. She was a difficult opponent. She is tall and definitely not easy to overcome.
She couldn't beat the Olympic champion, but her performances impressed many at the event. Not yet 20 years of age, the shuttler's future looks bright, and the nation's hope rests on her diminutive shoulders. But she is taking everything in her stride.
I no longer feel the stress. Initially, yes, when I first started playing. But now I can control myself and won't give in to pressure.
With the 2014 campaign not even at the halfway point, she has plenty to be positive about. She will be representing Chinese Taipei at this year's Asian Games and a shoo-in for the 2016 Rio Olympics. Remember the name, because Tai Tzu Ying is set to be around for a long time.
Carolina Marin, the 3rd seed from Spain.
The standout player on the team. She really is a huge talent.
I think that's one of her biggest qualities, actually. She's a real fighter on court.
My first title was in 2009 when I got the silver medal at the European Junior Championship, and then my best title was in 2011 when I got the gold medal at the European Junior Championship. My first holiday destination was when I went with my parents to Portugal. My most expensive gift I bought for myself was my MacBook Air. The first person I call when I have a bad day is my mom, or my best friend is called Keyless. The first gift for my friend was a jacket. My first badminton racket was a Yonex.
Carolina Marin is the 2013 London Grand Prix Gold champion. See the light on her face.
Time to check your badminton knowledge in this week's Who Am I? I was born in 1989 in Japan. My mother was a former badminton player. I made my international debut in 2006 at the Asian Junior Championships. The answer is Kenichi Tago. The Japanese shuttler is his country's men's singles #1 and ranked #3 in the world. After the success of its Super Series Premier Tournament in January, Malaysia served up another tantalizing event last weekend, this time at the Yonex Sunrise Malaysia Grand Prix Gold. The women's doubles final opened proceedings as 5th-seeded Chinese pairing of Yu Xiaohan and Huang Yaqiong took on compatriots Oh Dongni and Xiong Mengqing. Both sets of players had routine wins in their semi-final matches, but it was not to be the case in this one. In a match that lasted over an hour, the deciding game finally went to this year's India Grand Prix Gold runners-up, Yu and Huang, winning 22-20, 12-21, 21-18. Up next was the women's singles, with Yao Xue continuing the Chinese presence in the finals against Indonesia's Adrianti Firdasari. The Southeast Asian shuttler had impressed during the competition, disposing of 3rd seed Yui Hashimoto along the way. But Yao wasn't about to suffer a similar fate to the unseeded Adrianti. The second seed took just over 30 minutes to clinch the title. The final score, 21-18, 21-8. The men's singles final saw Indonesia's former world number 3 Simon Santoso taking on India's Surab Varma. Simon had come off a grueling semi-final matchup against Thailand's Sittikom Thamasin, while Surab profited from a walkover. Despite the contrasting fortunes, the Indonesian shuttler showed incredible stamina to overcome his fresher and younger opponent. In yet another 3-game match, Simon did just enough to vanquish Surab with a final score of 15-21, 21-16, 21-19. Indonesian mixed doubles pairing of Praveen Jordan and Debbie Susanto were eager to keep up with their country's winning momentum when they faced China's Lu Kai and Huang Yaqiong. But it wasn't to be for the world number 10 pairing. Gunning for their second Grand Prix gold title, Lu and Huang crushed the Southeast Asians in straight games 21-14, 21-13. The loudest cheers understandably came at the end of the day as the host's sole representative in the finals took to the court. Second seeds Go Vi Shem and Lim Kim Hwa went up against Debbie Bawa Krishnanta and Chayut Triachat in the men's doubles. The Malaysian duo had won their first title at the Maybank Malaysia Open earlier this year and were hoping to bank on home comforts yet again. But despite their best efforts late in the match, the crowd favourites were undone. The final score read 21-17, 22-20, concluding another fantastic round of top-class badminton action. We head to Indonesia, the sprawling Southeast Asian archipelago. With inhabitants totaling nearly 245 million, it is by far the most populous nation in the region. Badminton plays an important role in the sporting culture of the country. It is Indonesia's most successful international sport, having won multiple gold medals at the Olympics. In terms of badminton history, it is a colossus. Its players dominated in the 70s, 80s and 90s. Although it does not have the same status it once did, players such as Tontowi Ahmad, Muhammad Ahsan and their peers are evidence that Indonesia still belongs in the elite class. We're here to report on a club at the beating heart of this success, the legendary Djarum Badminton Club.
For Djarum, all the successes that have been achieved to date are a matter of pride. One of the contributions for Indonesian badminton is that we have many times provided for the team that goes on for the Thomas Cup and won the tournament for Indonesia. We have also produced players who have won the All England, such as our recent winners, Hendra, Ahsan and Tontowi and Liliana.
Djarum's badminton history dates back to the 60s. The company of which the club takes its name encouraged its employees to use a local badminton court to exercise. The club soon became very popular, and it wasn't long before an exceptional young talent began to play. His name was Lim Swee King, and he would help establish the reputation of the club. 1974 saw the founding of the Djarum Badminton Club, based in Kudus, as coaching and training were formalized. Lim Swee King became the first player from the club to win the prestigious All England Championships in 1978. He would go on to win it 3 consecutive times. This was the breakthrough for the club, propelling its status in the country and establishing it as the #1 club for aspiring shuttlers.
In the 70s, Djarum had players such as Lim Swee King and Hartono, who made Indonesia very proud in the world of badminton. Then came players such as Hastomo Arbi, Haryanto Arbi, Hadibowo, Alan Budi Kusuma, Ardi Wiranata, Edi Hartono, Gunawan, and many more.
The club's reputation continued to grow, and in 1984, it contributed 7 of the 8 players that led Indonesia to Thomas Cup triumph against the then-powerful China team. Over the years, the club has grown and adapted to the changing landscape of badminton. New training centres have been built, and players from the days known as the golden years have returned to the club as coaches and managers.
In those days, I did not feel like it was something very special. Maybe because I was too young to understand all of it. Now with age and maturity, and looking at the new generation, I often draw comparisons between them and us. In the earlier days, we used to train extremely hard.
This sense of history and lineage has helped maintain the high standards expected from Djarum.
Kemudian pada saat 2002-2004 sempat bolong.
Between 2002 and 2004, when the success we had hoped for was not achieved, that disappointed the owner, Mr. Hartono. He then had a will and desire to make a difference. He went on to build a Gor Jati in Kudus, which is a training center to bring back the success of badminton in Indonesia.
Kepedulian Pak Victor untuk mengangkat kembali kejayaan bulu tangkis Indonesia.
As expected, the competition to be accepted into the club is high. Auditions are held every year under the Djarum Scholarship Program. Those who are chosen get all their needs taken care of, including meals and training expenses. From the 1,000 or more applicants, only 20 are chosen.
We try to ensure that the players meet all the criteria we have set. For example, their posture and badminton skills. We do not give much attention to their physical attributes, as a player's physicality can be worked on as long as they are under our training in PB Djarum.
Once they are chosen, the students undergo intensive training with 10 sessions of physical and technical development work per week. They are constantly monitored. Those falling below expectations are replaced.
The schedule is a combination of physical training as well as training for technique. Usually, physical training is done in the morning and the training for technique is done in the afternoon. For today, we'll be doing the training for technique later at 2 p.m.
Djarum's mission is to develop elite players. This means providing fresh talent to enter the national team. So, for the administrators, there is no better indicator of success than when players leave to enter the national training program.
As soon as the players are selected for the Pelatnas team, they do not continue training with us. They train at Cipayung, where PBSI is located. We then take responsibility for the under-19 athletes, as well as those not in the national team.
For over half a century, the Djarum Badminton Club has been dealing in excellence. They continue to lead the way in elite player development and are committed to delivering international standard players. Indonesia may not dominate as before, but with desire and determination from clubs such as Djarum, their prominence in the badminton community is unlikely to fade anytime soon.
Djarum will always be part of the Indonesian team, and I hope Djarum will be a dominant and important factor in Indonesia. Be it the players, the organization, or at the managerial level, we will always contribute to Indonesia.
The draw for the much-anticipated 2014 BWF Thomas and Uber Cup was made on Sunday in the host city of New Delhi in India. Group A consists of 13-time winner Indonesia, Thailand, Nigeria and Singapore. England and Hong Kong are in Group B with 2012 semi-finalists Denmark and Japan. Germany and host country India are in Group C with 5-time champion Malaysia and 2012 finalists Korea. And to round it up, defending champions China are in Group D with Chinese Taipei, Russia and France. Over to the Uber Cup, title favourites China are in the company of Chinese Taipei, England and Russia and look set to top Group A. In Group B, 2010 champions Korea will have to fight it out with 3-time champions Indonesia, Australia and Singapore. Group C looks interesting as we could see India's rising star PV Sindhu go up against 2013 world champion Ratchanok Intanon from Thailand. Rounding up this group is Canada and Hong Kong. Denmark, Germany, Japan and Malaysia feature in the final group, which could see a very tight finish between all 4 badminton powerhouses. He was feted as one of the brightest stars to come out of the prestigious Prakash Padukone Academy. And as a former national junior champion, he was poised to become one of India's top badminton players. But a string of unfortunate mishaps was to bring Rohan Castellino's rapidly rising career to an abrupt halt. First, he was struck down with jaundice, an illness that left him needing medical treatment. Then, in 2003, a freak accident on the court almost blinded him in one eye.
What happened is I went for the European circuit. It was in Hallam. So there I was playing against a Japanese player and I was ranked world number 5. So he basically played a cross-court drop shot at the net. So the shuttle which he played had toppled over the net, where I went to dribble it and it hit the tape and flipped up. So then it was just accidentally that happened. So I was seriously injured and I was unable to see, and I was only lucky that my retina was fine, but my lens was into half and I had a traumatic cataract surgery done.
Doctors implanted an artificial lens during the surgery, saving Castellino's eye. But the road to recovery was a long one. It took the shuttler more than a year to start playing badminton again, and even then, it wasn't smooth sailing.
I in fact started playing after that, and I was still unable to see because I had an artificial lens in my eye, so I couldn't see much onto my left-hand side, and I was a little hesitant to play because I was not able to see the shuttle because I had to get used to it.
Determined to make a comeback, Castellino trained hard and never once thought of calling it quits.
I didn't know whether I could, get back to playing and all, because I'd become really weak. So then it took me a little time to start playing and, feeling good. So even now when I train and, I try to keep myself physically fit. In fact, I'm prone to small injuries and all, which had never happened to me in my earlier days, in my earlier career days.
From the day young Rohan Castellino decided to pursue his career in badminton, his parents had given him their utmost support. And it was their constant encouragement that got Castellino through some of his most trying days during his medical sabbatical.
My parents gave me all the support they could. In fact, my mother and father were with me at the hospital when I was down with jaundice. They've done whatever they could for me. So they were my big support.
In 2009, Castellino returned to competitive badminton at a year-end national ranking tournament. Though not 100% fit, the 30-year-old made it through to the main draw after 4 rounds of grueling qualifiers. He now spends his time indulging in his 2 passions, pigeon breeding and badminton. He says the birds act as a stress relief, while badminton, well, that chapter is yet to be completed.
There is still a long way for me to go and still a lot of time. So I'm trying to work towards it. Hope one day I will get there. So I'm just trying my best. Things happen, you can't sit and cry about it. It's like you have to be strong and take things the right way. So that will help you boost yourself and keep you always happy.
With his mind set on the future, Rohan Castellino hopes that his comeback will yield more medals and a shot at glory once again. Before we go, let's find out what's happening in the world of badminton in our Badminton Unlimited calendar. Next week on Badminton Unlimited, we catch up with Olympic champion and world women's singles #1 Lee Sherray. And we feel the need for speed with Malaysia's dynamic duo Lim Kim Wah and Go Vi Shem. See you next week.